And joining me now is County Executive Sam Page. Thank you very much for being here. We do appreciate it. In wake of the verdict in the lawsuit last week, do you still have confidence in John Belmar as the St. Louis County Police Chief?
I think Chief Belmar is the right person to lead us through some really difficult times in the history of St. Louis County. He has been the chief for now almost 6 years, and he has, I believe the police officers look to him for leadership, and they expect him to explain the new direction that we're taking in the police department, and I think he'll be part of that solution.
Let me just reread your statement for our viewers from last Sunday. This is what you said. Our police department must be a place where every community member and every officer is respected and treated with dignity. You went on to say, the time for leadership changes has come and change must start at the top. So the top is just the police board?
The top is the police board. They hire the police chief. They set the policy for the police department, and that will reflect my priorities based on the individuals that serve on the police board. But they direct the policy, they hire the police chief, and they'll be helping set the new plan for the police department. They voted yesterday, or Tuesday, in an emergency meeting to ask for an outside review of the police department, of the inclusion policies and the promotion policies, and then come up with a plan to recommend a path forward.
You mentioned, though, respect and treated with dignity. The county legal staff argued in court in that lawsuit that the case should be dismissed because it is legal to discriminate against gay people in Missouri. Is that treating everyone with dignity and respect?
Well, you probably read the newspaper reports. I was not happy to learn that that argument was made, because the county councilor and I discussed this on a couple of occasions, that I had heard that the previous administration had tried to make that argument, and I did not want that argument made by St. Louis County. Unfortunately, that message was not received, and it is now a personnel issue. But the county councilor intended to implement that decision, and unfortunately it didn't happen.
Let me ask you something else, because there is a report in the Post-Dispatch that Sergeant Keith Wildhaber's lawyers asked for a settlement for $850,000, which would have been a lot cheaper. Can you confirm that that settlement offer was there, and why didn't they take it?
I read that article on the way here, so I don't know all the details. I'll certainly be asking about it when I get back to the office. As a general rule, I'm not deep into the operations of a department, because there are many, many departments in county government, and I'll certainly want to understand what happened here for sure.
Do you think the state will ever pass the Missouri Non-Discrimination Act that you talked about more than 10 years ago?
Right, I co-sponsored that legislation almost a decade ago. We are behind the rest of the country. We are behind the values that I believe that our citizens in Missouri, and especially St. Louis County, hold, and we need to pass that, and I hope the legislature will take it up promptly in January and get that done.
You said, after getting the job from Steve Stenger, who is now in prison, that you wanted to change the image of county government. You want people to start trusting county government again. Does the lawsuit set you back at all?
Sure, well, the lawsuit sets us back in a few ways, but again, our priorities are to restore trust and to get county government moving forward and more effectively, and then to take on our biggest challenges. But certainly, when we learn in a trial that whether or not our county police officers are telling the truth was called into question, whether or not there is discrimination in the police department, those are two questions that do set us back a bit. But I also think it's an opportunity, because we're going to very aggressively address those issues. And I hope that everyone in St. Louis County recognizes that we have those same challenges in our community, challenges of equity and inclusion. And I hope that the way St. Louis County addresses that very deliberately and thoughtfully will be a model on how we can address it community-wide.
Let's talk about economic development. We know that St. Louis County is not growing as fast as some other communities.
Right.
What are your top priorities to change that?
Well, the first thing I did was appoint new members to the Economic Development Partnership Board. I'm sure that you know, and everyone in St. Louis County knows, that for some time the Economic Development Partnership was not focused and was part of the indictments and part of our problem. But I believe that is up and moving well and moving forward. But again, part of what's holding us back is having folks that are work ready. And all of our large employers in town and even our small businesses tell me they need more people to come and work for them. And we have large segments of our community who don't have the same opportunity as others for education and for jobs. And we need to match those folks who want jobs and who want opportunities with the training that they need so they can get the jobs that our employers are looking to fill.
All right, we're running out of time, so I'm going to get your quick takes on a few subjects.
Sure.
City-county merger, is that something you're in favor of?
I would step back and say that the St. Louis City and St. Louis County can cooperate more fully on a lot of things. The things that are obvious are economic development, public health, and crime and public safety. And I think the Board of Freeholders is the right process to ask that question, and our community needs to engage in that conversation. St. Louis County has appointed and approved their Board of Freeholders. The city is in the process of doing that, and I'm confident that they will get that done. And I think in a week or so, the Board of Freeholders will meet, and they'll start that very important conversation with city residents and county residents.
Airport privatization.
Right. Well, we've all been watching that conversation for a couple of years. That was part of the Better Together process. I think it's something we need to look at. I don't know that the current process is really inspiring confidence, but I think it's a question that needs to be asked. So when the chairman of the Port Authority came to me a couple of weeks ago and said, we've been talking about looking at this ourselves and doing our own review, what do you think about that? I said, it sounds like a good idea. You should do it. And we should ask that question. Certainly the airport is used by St. Louis County residents, and all of the property around the airport will be developed based on the success of the airport. So we're very concerned and very interested in making this regional asset work for everyone.
The Loop Trolley.
Well, as I've said before, this is a big investment, and it's a shame for it to go dark. But St. Louis County has put a lot of money into it, and I'm not convinced that it's been governed thoughtfully, and I recognize they've had some unexpected setbacks. So before I would encourage the county council to contribute any more funds, I would ask the Loop Trolley to go back and look at the original commitments that were made and try and recover that, and then look for other funding sources, and then tell me moving forward what the governance is going to look like and what the long-term plan is that inspires confidence. We're not there yet, but we've had a lot of conversations in the past couple of weeks. I think a lot more folks are going to get engaged in this.
Jake Zimmerman, the St. Louis County assessor, who says he wants your job.
Well, we'll have an election next year. I would imagine that when filing closes in March, there may be a lot of people who want to be county executive. In the end, it'll be a referendum on whether or not I'm taking St. Louis County in the right direction in the job that I'm doing, and we'll see how it goes.
And you haven't officially declared that you're running for the office.
That's
Can
right.
we expect that soon?
Well, I'll be making an announcement later in the month, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, Dr. Sam Page,
All right.
really appreciate
Thanks,
you
Mike.
joining us.
Thanks for having me.
That's Dr. Sam Page, the county executive. We'll be right back.